discuss the groundwater sources. We have started discussing on groundwater sources is a spring, gallery, well, and tube well. Okay, we'll see the important points related to the. Some of the facts are known, but probably would have experienced in your household level or your community level. But we'll see the different sources of groundwater. Okay, spring, infiltration gallery, infiltration well, wells, and tube wells. Okay, and before that, we've also discussed what is saturated zone and what is unsaturated zone, and what is water table also. Okay, so water table, this one is water table, and above which water will be raised because of capillary action, that we can call it as capillary fringe. And this blue color, this is completely with saturation. Soil plus water is completely being saturated. And above the water table, there could be an unsaturated zone. And if you draw or if you define a mass balance, then the water enter into a system, that is precipitation, and the water is leaving out of the system, that is because of evaporation, moisture evaporation, and evaporation through plants, evapotranspirations. Okay, so this is what we discussed in the last class. Okay, yeah, so this story we have already discussed. The part of rain which is falling on to a surface percolates into the groundwater, percolates into the ground and become groundwater. And during the passage of water through the ground, the water in contact with many substances like organic and also inorganic. So imagine now, the subsoil is completely on fluoride or something, fluoride rocks. Then groundwater also may be contaminated with a lot of fluoride. And if it is anything on arsenic contamination, then the water, groundwater also sometimes takes away a lot of arsenic to the groundwater. And if it is, say example, a solid waste is being dumped onto a ground, so during infiltration or percolation, there could be a chance of percolation of organic compounds also into the groundwater. Okay, yes. So these are sometimes readily soluble in water, and because of this solubility, this groundwater sometimes is because of the solubility of these compounds, water should have some alkalinity, hardness, and the water also contains a rich amount of carbon dioxide from the air or from decomposition of the organic matter. So please remember, it contains alkalinity, hardness, and plus CO2. The CO2, it is mainly from atmosphere and also the degradation of organic matter. So these are something we have to remember. Okay, so the decomposition of the organic matter also remove dissolved oxygen from the water percolating through it. So there could be a deficiency of oxygen in the groundwater. So that's another important fact. Okay, during degradation of the organic matter, these organisms will take up the oxygen in the water. Thereby, depletion of oxygen also will take place. Okay, so rich in carbon dioxide and very low in dissolved oxygen, especially in the case of groundwater. Okay, yes, and the groundwater free from oxygen and high amount of carbon dioxide dissolves iron and manganese. Please make a note of this. Also, we are already familiar. Groundwater contains rich amount of iron and manganese. Okay, and plus there could be a possibilities of hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide also occurs in groundwater in the absence of oxygen because of the decomposition of the organic matter or reduction of sulfates. So this also we discussed in the characteristics of wastewater. So please remember, alkalinity is number one. And another one is hardness. Groundwater is high in hardness. Carbon dioxide, oxygen is very low. Okay, because of this oxygen limitations, there could be a iron and manganese. Plus, you may have H2S. This H2S is from organic matter or from reduction of sulfates. Is it okay? These points you have to remember. Is it fine? Rashwant, you can interact with me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. And another important that I told you, like because of infiltration, imagine our situation, like what above the ground you may have a lot of organic matter. If it is organic matter, there could be a microorganisms as well. Okay, so if water percolates or falls on, and there could be a chances of the migration of the organic matter, organic microorganisms also into a soil. So what will happen? This microorganisms will be retained into a soil because microorganisms will not be allowed to get into the groundwater because this the soil layer will act as a filter. Okay, please remember. Okay, that is one thing. It will retain all the microorganisms, or the microorganisms will find a place, will attach onto the surface of the medium. So thereby the water it is free from say example microorganisms. Please remember this concept also. Okay, so if it is any organic matter, you could expect a lot of microorganisms, and during infiltration of the water into the soil, this microorganisms will not directly taken into the groundwater because this soil medium will act as a filter which will retain all the microorganisms. That is number one first concept. Or otherwise microorganisms will find a place and it will attach onto a surface of the soil grains. Thereby the groundwater is free from these organisms. That's the first point you can remember. Okay, and there could be a possibilities of organic contamination into the groundwater. That is because of like subsurface pollutions, mainly from leaching cesspool and leaking sewers. Okay, so probably you would have also seen in your house. Okay, you may have a septic tank here, and you may have a well here. Say example. So this is your water table, and there could be a possibilities of these migrations into a groundwater. So if you pump out, this water also contains a lot of organic matter. So these situations also may arise. Okay, yeah. In general, the groundwater are very clear and cold and colorless, and which is harder than the surface water. So these are the general characteristics of the groundwater. You can remember simply. Okay, clear water and temperature is low, colorless, and hard water compared to surface water sources. Okay, yeah. And if it is a limestone formation, the groundwater is relatively hard and tend to form a lot of scale. Okay, tend to form deposits, or otherwise is called as scale. Self deposition of this calcium carbonate inside the pipelines will sometimes form a scale formation. And if it is a granite formation, the groundwater becomes very soft. Groundwater is very soft and low in dissolved minerals and higher amount of carbon dioxide. Okay, and like bacterial sense, if you compare the bacterial load, groundwater are much better than the surface water, except where subsurface pollution. That what we are discussing in the previous slide. There could be a possibilities of these contaminant migrations into the groundwater because of open pits, cesspools, and leaking sewers. Other than that, you need not worry about much with the bacterial contamination. Okay. Yes. And one more factor is temperature remains constant, fairly constant throughout the year. So these are some of the characteristics of groundwater you can remember. Okay. Yes. And being familiar with the groundwater, we'll move on to some definition concepts. Okay. Geological factors governing the occurrence of groundwater. Number one is porosity. Okay. Porosity is otherwise defined as the percentage of voids present in the given volume of soil aggregate. So please. Present in a given volume of soil substrate. So you can simply remember porosity is equal to total volume of voids in the soil aggregate divided by total volume of soil aggregate. Total volume of voids divided by the total volume of soil aggregates. Okay. Yes. Again, the porosity depends on shape, packing, and degree of sorting of the component grains in a given material. So please remember, porosity is equal to total volume of voids divided by total volume of soil. Okay, so that is you can remember simply, and the porosity is equal to volume of voids divided by total volume porosity. Okay, the first formula you can remember. Okay, so porosity plays a major role. The second one is permeability, because it will allow the water to penetrate. Permeability is defined as the ability of the soil or rock to transmit or pass water. That capability you can call it as permeability of the soil. Okay, yes. And transmissibility is again the same representation of permeability, but here it is the capability of the entire volume of full width and depth is represented by a permeability, but while that of the soil transmissibility. So please make a note on these two differences. Permeability is the ability of the soil or rock to transmit or passage of water through themselves. That you can define it as permeability. And transmissibility is also again a permeability term, but the definition is the permeability permeability of the soil or transmissibility is corresponds to the soil of unit width and full depth is known as transmissibility. So please make a note on this is all together, and this is with respect to unit width of the sample to the full width of this full depth of the sample, that is known as transmissibility. Okay, so please make a difference on what is permeability of the soil and what is transmissibility of the soil. Okay. Zones of underground water. Okay, if you draw a line diagram, okay, normally it look like this. Okay, so just observe my line.
Hello, sir.
So these two are important. Please make a note on these two. Okay, you can divide the total subsurface soil into two zones. Number one, zone of rock flowage and zone of rock fracture. And zone of rock fracture is further into two fraction. That is number one is zone of saturation and zone of aeration. So please make a note on these two. Okay, number one, that's I told two classification, and zone of again rock fracture is being classified or divided into two zones. Number one is saturation. Number two is your zone of aeration. And the zone of aeration we are already familiar. This which includes soil water, Vadose water, and fringe water. Okay, soil water and Vadose water, it is something similar. The water availability inside the soil for the plants. So this water may not be useful for your say example water table to take out water for your drinking or water. So soil moisture which is available. Otherwise is capillary fringe water. Capillary fringe water. Okay, capillary fringe water and intermediate Vadose zone and soil water. Okay, is it fine?
Sir, your voice is breaking in between.
Okay, I think I have some problems in it is saying bad quality. I don't know. Anyway, I'm in the department network only, but let me see. Okay, zone of rock fracture and zone of rock flowage, and rock fracture again into zone of saturation and zone of aeration. And the zone of saturation you are already familiar, that is below the water table, that is completely saturated. I can call it as simply this is groundwater. And above the water table is this unsaturated or zone of aeration. Zone of aeration is again into three different clusters. One is this fringe water, that is this capillary water. And intermediate zone, you can call it as this Vadose water. And top zone, it is soil water. And top soil water and Vadose water, that simply you can call it as a simple moisture. Okay, so that, or otherwise you can call it as suspended water. You can simply remember the moisture which is available for the plant uptake or plant growth. Okay, that you can simply call it as Vadose zone. Is it okay? So this is something is important. All other definitions are based on these only. So if you understand logically this one, and all other definitions are very easy. You can able to explain very easy way. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now you can come back. What is rock flowage? Okay. So rock flowage is the depth of flowage is not accurately known, but generally being estimated in kilometers. That's what I told you. This is okay. So water in this zone is called as internal water. So please make a note of rock flowage is internal water, which will be available for your pumping or water table. Okay. So above the zone of rock flowage, there lies the zone of rock fracture. That's what we have discussed or we have seen in the previous slide. And water stored in the voids, the amount of this water, it depends upon the porosity. That's what I explained. The basic concepts like porosity and permeability and transmissibility. Okay, water stored in the voids, that the amount of water depends on the porosity of the soil. So the maximum depth of this zone below the ground surface varies from 100 meters to 1000 meters or more. So please remember what is the depth of rock flowage. Okay, zone of rock flowage. Then second one is rock, the rock fracture. Again, I have mentioned already. This is being divided into two zones. One is zone of saturation. That is completely being saturated with water. So what will happen now? The soil, the pores in between the soil is completely filled with water. Okay, the interstices between the soil is completely filled with water. That term to be saturated condition, saturation. And this water in the zone is completely under hydrostatic pressure. So please make a note on. It's completely saturated. Is under pressure, hydrostatic pressure. Okay, yes. Top zone you can call it a zone of aeration, and this water normally exists in these zones because of molecular attractions loosely. That's what I told you. This is, you can simply remember as soil moisture. Okay, which is this. So please remember these points. This water in the zone exists by molecular attraction. Here it is, this is under hydrostatic pressure because of complete saturation. Okay, so the gravity water moves through this zone, and the water in the zone is not at hydrostatic pressure. So please make a note on this too well. Okay, because there could be a possibility, if it is soil moisture is very high, there could be possibilities of penetration further. Otherwise, it will retain into the interstices between the soil. Okay, that is something is important. Okay, and again the zone is further divided into three. That's what I told you. One is about capillary fringe, which is directly above the water table. Okay, and second one is about intermediate zone. So this what is being explained in this diagram one more time. Okay, that's what I have explained. Okay, so now you could able to understand better. These are the zones. Okay, zone of saturation you could able to understand better now. So this black color is meant for water. Okay, these are the soil particles. Is it fine? Is it
Yes.
okay? Yeah, this is completely on. Water is completely been saturated, but here it is, you could able to see because of the soil moisture, and this water it is kept, or it is ideally inside the soil grains because of molecular attraction. Here it is with the complete hydrostatic pressure. Okay, yes. Now you can relate. This is your groundwater, simply this portion because completely saturated. This is above the water table. You can have fringe water because of capillary action. This is intermediate. This is water like the Vado zone. Understand better for what really happens is below the soil. If it is anything on water falls onto soil, what really happens? Okay, yes. So the zones of rock flowage, that's why I told you, that are impervious rock, and water which is inside the rock or inside the impervious. This one is interstitial water. Okay, that because water will be inside the interstices. Okay, and this is zone of rock flowage, and this is zone of rock fracture. Okay, so probably this slide will be more than enough for better understanding, and you can also write your own words with that what are the different definitions, and water which is available for a plant uptake, that you can call it as simply Vado's water. Okay, yes, yeah. So this what it is being explained. Still one more complete saturation, and this is your capillary zone, that is you can simply call it as water table, and Vado zone and soil water zone, and this you can simply call it as zone of aeration. This you can call it as zone of saturation. Is it okay?
Okay.
Important. Velocity of water, velocity of groundwater, it is been estimated using Darcy's equation. So please remember Darcy's law of determining velocity of groundwater. Okay, Darcy's law simply states that the charge is proportional to the head loss and the area of cross section of a soil, and this is inversely proportional to the length of the soil. So please remember this definition. Okay, Q and inversely proportional to the length of soil strata. So you can remember this. So delta H by L, you can simply call it as a gradient. That you can call it as simply a hydraulic gradient. So that you can rearrange this equation. Q is proportional to I into A. Now you have to remove the proportionality. You have to introduce a constant. That constant is K I A. This I is called as coefficient of permeability. Okay, so is it fine? Something is important. Okay, so Darcy's law, Q is equal to KIA, where K is equal to coefficient of permeability. Okay, so you can also solve problems using these simple equations. You can able to find out what is the discharge. You can able to find out what is the hydraulic gradient. You can also find out what is the length of soil through which the velocity can be estimated or something. Is it okay? Darcy's law?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I Q by A is otherwise is called as V. V is equal to K into I. So you can remember simply the velocity of the water through the soil is being estimated through a Darcy equation. There V is equal to K into I. K is equal to your permeability coefficient. I is equal to hydraulic gradient. Hydraulic gradient. Is it fine? So simply you can remember. Anyway, you can solve a lot of numerical problems using Darcy's equations. Is it okay? Is it fine? So Divya and Rashwat, you can interact because these are some definitions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then the second definition is coefficient of permeability is defined as the rate of flow of water through unit cross-sectional area of water bearing material under unique hydraulic gradients. So these definitions anyway you have to remember. Okay. So rate of flow through a unit's cross-sectional area of the water bearing material, that is the soil, under a unit hydraulic gradient at 20 degrees Celsius. You can remember this definition. What is coefficient of permeability? So coefficient of permeability can be expressed in terms of K is equal to C D square, and this is gamma, that is this unit weight of water divided by kinematic viscosity. Sorry, this is dynamic viscosity. So please remember this formula. Okay, so K is equal to C D square into unit weight divided by dynamic viscosity of water. Okay, this one. Now in fluid mechanics you are familiar. Specific weight can be replaced as mass density into acceleration due to gravity. So you can use like this. Then you can bring down like rho here, and thereby mu by rho you can call it as simply kinematic viscosity. So please remember this format or this also for calculations. K is equal to C D square into G by nu. This is kinematic viscosity of water. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So please remember these. While reading the notes, please also be familiar with the individual notations and also the units. Okay. Please remember anyway, these all kinematic viscosity, dynamic viscosity, and density can be picked up from a properties of water table at 20 degrees Celsius. Please make a note on this. If it is other than 20 degrees Celsius, then you have to go for look into a table of form properties of water. Then you just make it. You just find out what is 20 because that's what is being mentioned. Okay, so that coefficient of permeability is to a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, yeah. Now we have to estimate what is coefficient of transmissibility. Okay, so transmissibility is again the rate of flow of water through a vertical strip of water material, that is the soil, of unit width and full depth. This also we discussed in the previous one. And it is also been with a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. This is again, you can relate K and T. Okay, K and T transmissibility is equal to K. That is this K value is permeability into D. Permeability into D, where D is equal to your mean diameter, mean particle diameter, or mean particle size of the porous medium. Porous medium. Is it okay? So T transmissibility is equal to and permeability into the diameter. Okay, size of the soil grain. Is it okay? So please remember 20 degrees Celsius you have to remember, and the definition, each and every definition of individual items you have to at least be familiar for the examination point of view. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now being familiar with the fundamental concepts, okay, is now the drainage pattern of groundwater you have to be familiar. Okay, how to extract drainage is very simple. Extracting the water from below the water table. Okay, below the water table through well. You would have already familiar well. Okay, infiltration gallery and also spring. So these are the three drainage ways where you can pump out or drain water from the ground, from the subsurface soil or from water table. So please remember these three patterns, drainage patterns. One is this well, second one is this infiltration gallery, and third one is this in spring. So those who are nearby mountainous regions, they would have come across spring, okay, springs. And those who are nearby perennial rivers and rivers, they would have heard about the term infiltration galleries and infiltration wells. And those who are familiar in, say example, with excess groundwater, say example, water table is with the lower level, okay, say example 50, 60 or 100 feet, they would have also experienced with well, okay, well also again open well and tube wells that you would have come across, okay. So this we will discuss in detail in a faster, okay. So that way these are the drainage patterns, okay. And before that, you are to be familiar with two different concepts. Number one is saturated water formation. Another one is about pellicular water formation. Please make a note on these two. Okay, these points are very important. Saturated formation. Okay, saturated formation. And second one is about pellicular water. Okay, this conditions you are already familiar. What is this? These conditions you are already familiar. What is this? Okay, these brown color shades are soil grains, and these blue color stains are, or blue color is water. Okay, soil below the subsurface, and it is completely been saturated, and there could be a possibilities of water free flow. Please make a note on water free flow. Water free flow. Okay, so this what is the interstices between the particles, the interstices present in the given formation get filled up with water during the process of groundwater replenishment. If it is anything on water falls in, okay, so what will happen? The interstices is completely been filled with water, completely been filled with water. Okay, if all these voids are completely filled with water, this is simply, you can call it as completely been saturated, completely been saturated. Okay, so there could be a possibility water which is contained in these voids, is drained by digging wells under the action of gravity drainage. Please make a note of this. Something is water which is already there in the saturation zone is ready for flow, so that can be taken out by the simple action of gravity drainage by digging wells. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, saturation formation. Okay, so this may not be possible to drain out 100%. Please make a note on this. Is not possible to drain out 100% of water out of the system. Okay, some water remains in. Okay, some that's our second point. It is somewhat difficult to drain 100% of the water. Okay, this is 100% of the water. Okay, and some water will be retained in these interstices. You could able to see now the difference between the previous one. There is no gap in between, completely been saturated. Now you could able to see white patches in between. Have you got my point? You could able to see a lot of white patches in between. That means that water is being free flown out, and other water, remaining water, it is being kept ideal because of this molecular attraction. This water which is retained after free flow, that is called as pellicular water. Please make a note on. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this water can be taken up only by plants. Please make a note on this. Water which is available for plant roots can absorb this water. Okay, which is not freely flowing. And because of this interstices molecular attraction, water will be held ideally inside the soil. Okay, this water is available for plants to take up. The plants also can take up by only absorption. Okay, by only absorptions, not in other ways. Okay, so please remember what is zone of saturation. It's very simple. Water which is held inside the interstices can able to free flow, that you can take out through wells. That is number one. Number two, we cannot able to take out all the water out of the system. Some water will be held ideally because of the molecular attractions of this soil and also water. This water you can simply call it as pellicular water. Okay, pellicular water. Okay, so now, now being familiar with what is saturation and also what is pellicular, now we have to define the other terms related to your yield. Okay, number one, yield and also specific yield. Okay, yes. Normally, if you if you dig a borehole, borehole, okay, some immediately the people may ask what is your yield. So people may ask a question or pose a questions like what is your yield of your well? They may ask immediately. So what is yield now? You can remember the volume of water extracted by a gravity drainage from a saturated water bearing material is known as yield. That is also again a ratio of the volume of total material drained. That is called, then it is called a specific yield. So please make a note on what is the difference between yield and also what is specific yield. Specific yield is equal to volume of water drained by gravity drainage divided by total volume of material drained or dewatered into 100. Okay, so please make a note on this difference. Okay, so water which is available in the inside the soil, okay, in the inside the soil strata, and which is available for gravity drainage is called as simply as yield. Okay, what is specific yield now? Specific yield is the ratio in between volume of water drained by gravity divided by total volume of water which is available for dewater or draining. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The second one is retention. You can also remember one simple term called field capacity. Specific retention or field capacity is equal to volume of water held against gravity drainage divided by total volume of water, total volume of material drained. So you can find the ratio in between. You can simply call it as field capacity. Okay. So the quantity of water retained by the material against the pull gravity is known as specific retention or field capacity. Okay, so normally I don't know how many of you familiar, like if you before going for a borehole, then people may also identify a spot and they may also go for a, they may call a diviner, okay, water diviner, and ask for where is the location, in which point you may get a more water. So this sort they do it either by scientifically or by some traditional road methods they do it. Okay, so that to assess your field capacity of your water supply. Okay, so the quantity of water retained by the material against the bulk gravity, you can simply call it as field capacity. Otherwise is called as specific retention is the ratio in between volume of water held against gravity drainage divided by total volume of material drained into 100. Okay, so these definitions are important. Okay, yeah. So being familiar with these concepts, so yield you are now familiar, and what is specific yield you are familiar, and what is field capacity now you are familiar. Now you have to define what are aquifers. Okay, please make a note on aquifer. Aquifer is geological formation of permeable material which is capable of yielding appreciable quantity of groundwater is known as aquifer. Okay, you would have heard about the term groundwater aquifers. Okay, groundwater aquifer is very simple. Geological formation of permeable material. That's what I told you. Permeable material is already a soil with completely been saturated with the water. Okay, that you can call it as simply aquifer. The geological formation of permeable material which is capable of yielding appreciable quantity of water under gravity is known as aquifer. And you can define the aquifers, or you can classify the aquifers into two. Number one, unconfined aquifer and also confined aquifer. Okay, please remember is two different classifications: unconfined or otherwise non-artesian, and confined aquifer is artesian aquifers. Confined in the senses is, say example, if the aquifer is confined in between two impermeable strata, you can call it as confined aquifers. This is water table. Is it okay? It's very simple concept. Okay, if the water table or aquifer is confined in between two impervious layer, you can simply call it as confined aquifer. And if it is only at the bottom, and you can call it as unconfined aquifer. Is it okay? Confined and also unconfined. Is it fine?
Okay, sir. Like,
Aquifer.
Explain it again.
Come again.
Sir, unconfined means like.
No, unconfined means is only the impervious layer only at the bottom. Confined is both top and bottom. This is confined inside both the sides with impervious layer.
Okay.
Okay, that's what is being called as is artesian. So imagine our situation. This is your ground, below the ground. Okay, that's what I mentioned. This is now the saturated formation of water is confined in between two impervious layers. The water inside is with lot of pressure. So what will happen now? If I open a bore well here, what will happen? If I open a bore here, what will happen? Water will come out freely. Water will come out freely. That's what is been called as artesian aquifers. Is it fine? Artesian wells you would have come across. You need not require anything on. If you open up, automatically water will be drained out. Some places of India, you could also see artesian system. You need not do anything on. If you open up, automatically water will come out. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay. So water it is available in this inside the system with high pressure. If you open up, obviously water will come out. It is very famous in like in mining activities. You would have come across mining activities. Say example, Neyveli. Okay, lignite maybe. Okay, top layer is lignite and bottom layer is also lignite. In between you have water. That is this aquifer. So what will happen now? If I punch, what will happen? There could be a free flow of water and which will also flood inside your mine system. What will happen now? It is very difficult to go for a mining activity. What they do, and before dredging or before my taking out of the mine or lignite or something, they'll also draw down the water. They'll pump out all the water and reduce the pressure. Then only I can open up. Otherwise, what will happen? You could find some places the water will be flowing out with a height of almost 20-30 meters because of pressure. Have you got my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, artesian and non-artesian is very important. So please make a concept is if it is confined in between two impervious layer, you can call it as simply confined aquifer or artesian aquifer. And if it is not confined, okay, impermeable layer is only at the bottom, you can simply call it as unconfined or non-artesian aquifers. Okay, so imagine our situation: you have an impermeable rock at the bottom and you have a soil formation with a lot of water. Okay, if I want to take a water, these are the soil. Okay, these are previous, this is impervious. If I want to take a water, what I have to do? I had to go for a borewell and water will be available only. These are with this soil I have already taken out. So if I want to take a water, I need to have a pump. Have you got my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, or water, even if it is a open, then you have an open well. If it is something like a smaller diameter, that is called tube well, then I can have a submersible or other pumps. We can take out the water which is already collected in the well by simple pumping mechanism. Is it fine? Okay, so artesian and non-artesian, or you can remember simply as unconfined and confined aquifers. Okay, so now you could understand better. Okay, two impervious layer. These are impervious layer, and you have a confined aquifer. It is okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if I open here, so water will be coming out with very freely. I need not require anything on. You could able to see the color, no? You could able to see the color of this blue color. Water will be freely flowing. Have you got my point? Okay. Now this is unconfined aquifer. So what will happen? Then water will be available only this. This I have to remove. This you can call it as simply as bore or well. And if I want to take a water, I need a pumping. You could able to see the difference. Is it okay? Not only Rashwant, you will just understand all others. Is there any difficulty here? Others? Is it fine? Divya? And others also. Is fine? So please understand the concepts. This you need to have a pumping if you want to take a water, and this. So these situations may not arise. These conditions may not arise in all the places of, say, example, the Indian part. Some places of situations you may get. Artesian wells is very common somewhere in Tamil Nadu. You have Chengalpet near Chennai. Some places you may get a well like this. Okay, if I open it continuously, I may get a water. But this is very common. Okay, unconfined aquifer system is very common. Is it fine? So two confined status, or you can call it as this one is acutod, another one is about accuclude. Please make a note on. Other than these two, you have to remember these two: acutod and accuclude. That we'll discuss this in this previous. Okay. So unconfined, I need not discuss, and you can also write stories. The top bearing water is not confines impermeable over the burden lying over it. This is, you can simply call it as unconfined and non-artesian aquifer. This is normally 2 to 5 meter in diameter. You can have a gravity well, and which is constructed to tap the water from the top most water bearing strata. It's very simple. Okay, so this is confined water. Either you can collect water or you can have systems like this. And confined is I have already mentioned. This two impervious strata, in between you have a aquifer, and water will be freely flowing. Water will be freely flowing if I open it. So that you can simply call it as confined aquifer system. Confined aquifer system. Okay. Yes. If a well excavated through such an aquifer yields water that often flows out automatically under the hydrostatic pressure, and thus even rise out of surface for a reasonable height. That's what I told you. If it is an artesian well, you should be very careful. If I punch it, then you could get a lot of water will be with high pressure, and you could also find out with a reasonable height. Okay, reasonable height. And this confined aquifer, the water flow, you can be either artesian well, that water will be with the pressure, or sometimes is the water which is gusses out automatically. So you can get a very water will be coming out or ooze out very automatically without pressure. With pressure, you can simply call it as this artesian well. And without pressure, water will be oozing out, that you can call it as simply as flowing well. Flowing well you would have seen in your, say example, in some farmlands where water table is very, very high, and you could also like feel water will be freely flowing. Okay, that you can simply call it as flowing well. Okay, so flowing well. So please remember what is unconfined aquifer, confined aquifer, and what is this artesian well, and what is flowing well. So these concepts are something is important. Okay, so now you could understand everything together in one. Okay, so impervious layer below the water table, you can simply call it as acute-clued. And this is your pervious layer. Okay, pervious layer, and this confined artesian aquifer and also wells. So you can understand everything together in one diagram. Okay, so that you can at least have a look. So now you could understand better. This is your soil profile, and this is some areas could be a recharge where if it is rainfalls in, there could be a possibilities of recharge or penetration. Okay, and water will be stored inside the ground. That is, you can call it as is confined, because it is in between two, say example, impervious strata. Confined, this is unconfined. Okay, so please make a note on one more is called perched aquifer. Okay, unconfined, confined, you are already familiar. Okay, and confined, you have two different. One is artesian, another is about flowing well, and one more is perched aquifer. Okay, this is very common. I don't know how many of you are familiar. Like groundwater near the seashore may be completely saline, hypersaline or saline water. Okay, some places you would have seen in the beach and all, they'll open up and they'll also give a fresh water to you. Have you seen any situations like that? Chennai Marina is very famous for this aquifer system. Is it okay? Some places of the near seashore, okay, where you can find water which is without salty. So you would have also seen these sort of situations in near seashore or beaches. They'll open up a well and they'll fetch water and they'll say that this is good water, not salty water. This is because of a perched aquifer system. So please make a note on this also. Okay, perched aquifer. Is it okay? Is it fine?
Yes,
confined, unconfined, artesian well, flowing well, and perched aquifer. Is it okay? See any one of the diagram, make it very conceptual wise that you can able to freeze lot of definitions. Even the examination also, you need not look into a crystal clear definitions. What you are based on your understanding level, you can elaborate. Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perched aquifer already I have mentioned to you. This is a special case of aquifer. Okay. And this is also that's in between. Okay, so this is completely your saturation zone. So in the saturation zone, you could find one impervious small layer and water will be stored here. So you can call it as simply as a pervious perched aquifer system. Perched aquifer. Okay, yes. And some places like, okay, so these are some concepts you can understand. Okay, so this is the definition I already mentioned too. What is aquifuge, acutod, and acute-clued. Okay, aquifuge is neither porous nor permeable. So one example is about granite. Acutod is which does not need any water. That you can simply call it as a sandy clay. sandy clay is acutod. Acuclode is highly porous. That you can simply call it as clay layer. Is again one example for acuclode. Okay, so please see the definition. So neither porous nor permeable. That is acufuge. Acutod is which will not produce or give any free flow of water. That is sandy clay. And acuclode is and again which is highly impervious. The example is about clay layer. Okay, so I'll stop here, and one more class tomorrow we'll finish it up this concept as well. Okay, so further one more discussions and we'll finish it off groundwater or the source of water in a clear cut manner. Is it okay? Any clarifications here? Okay, let me also post this PPT today. At least have a glance, and if it is any difficulty, we'll see tomorrow. Because before the cycle test, we have only one class tomorrow and Monday. Okay, Monday class also we'll have a discussion kind of a thing. If it is any difficulty, we'll set right in the class itself. Okay, so thing is this: my intention is to go through everybody in a smooth way. Okay, not for very tough and not for very easy, but we'll walk through in a very comfortable way. Everybody together. Is it okay? So let me close the topic tomorrow, and Monday's class we'll have some discussions. Anything on free discussions with individual, then we'll discuss and we'll ready for class. I request all of you to finish your assignments. Okay, as examination point of view, at least you can spend time on. You may get some good ideas and keep it ready before assessment. Okay, that is not for assignment kind of a thing. At least be ready for your CT1. Is it okay? Yeah. It's fine. Rashwant?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.